everyone, I hope you're all having an amazing day so far. Welcome back to my second murder, mystery, and nails tutorial. If you don't know who I am, hi, hello, my name is Janessa and this is a nail channel. Last week I started a new series on my channel called True Crime Tuesdays, where every Tuesday I do a nail tutorial and talk about a crazy true crime case that has been festering in my brain. Last week you guys seemed to really enjoy it, so I thought, why not, let's just go ahead and make it a thing. So every Tuesday, if you like true crime and nails, I am here for you. And then on top of that, I post another 1 to 2 videos just doing normal nail tutorials. If that sounds like something that you're into, then please consider hitting that subscribe button down below. So as far as nails go, today I'm going to be trying the BURANO temperature changing polygel kit. They sent this over to me and I thought it looked so cute and perfect for today's video. If you would like to listen to this true crime case, because you guys, it is seriously crazy. If you haven't heard of Michael and Dalia Dippilito, then buckle your seatbelt because you are about to be in for a wild ride. So if you would like to listen to this true crime case and do some nails, then please keep watching. Bye! Today's channel shout out goes to Nails by Rosalie. I'm doing a collab with her in my next video, so make sure you guys go and subscribe to her now. Today's polygel kit you can get off Amazon if you guys would like to purchase that. So let's get into today's case. Okay, so newlyweds Michael and Dalia Dippilito lived in a newly developed community in Boynton Beach, a coastal city in West Palm Beach, Florida. They had recently purchased a nice, modern, new townhouse with the beach only a 10-minute drive away. 26-year-old Dalia had just recently announced she was pregnant and the area was perfect for raising a baby. On the morning of August 5th, 2009, Dalia woke up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym, which was a normal event for her and her husband, 38-year-old Michael Dippilito. He would usually always attend with her, but the last 2 weeks he wasn't able to go because he had liposuction on his lower back and he was experiencing complications from the procedure that left him mostly bedridden. Dalia promised him she would stop by Starbucks to grab Michael a coffee on her way home from the gym. And just before 6 a.m., she left the house in Michael's Chevy Tahoe SUV and drove to the LA Fitness Gym approximately 1 mile from their home. At 6:33 a.m., while Dalia was working out, she noticed a missed call on her phone from an unknown number. The caller had left a 12-minute voicemail saying, "This is Sergeant Frank Ramsey, Boynton Beach Police Department, Detective Division. I need you to call me as soon as you get this, ma'am. It's very urgent. Thank you." Dalia called Sergeant Ramsey back and he instructed her to return to her residence immediately, saying, "It involves your husband. There's been an incident. I'll tell you everything when you get here." Dalia quickly left the gym, and when she returned home, she found her street to be swarmed with police cars and camera crews. Everything was taped off around her property with crime scene tape, and her front door was left wide open and covered in fingerprint dust as the forensic investigators immediately started to investigate the crime scene.
I'm Sergeant Ramsey. I'm the one that called you. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry to call you. Listen, we had a report of a disturbance at your house, and there were shots fired. Is your husband Michael? Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, ma'am. He's been killed. He's been killed, ma'am. I'm sorry.
No,
listen.
No.
Try to calm down.
No.
Listen, right now we need to get you to the station.
No.
We need to get you to our police station. I can't let you stay, man. We have to do our job. If you want us to find this killer, okay, we need you to calm down. I'm going to need you to go with these detectives, okay? Does he have enemies? Is there anyone that would want to hurt him? Okay, who would want to hurt him? Witnesses said they saw a black male running from you. I can't let you see him, ma'am. Ma'am, I cannot do this right now. Ma'am, I can't do it. Detective Yopi, I need you to take her to the station. I can't. Ma'am, go with these detectives. If you want to help your husband, okay? If you want to help your husband, you need to go to the station with these gentlemen and tell us everything you know about who he knows, who he's connected to.
So yeah, pretty crazy. You guys can imagine that would be devastating. Michael Dippilito was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on December 18, 1970. He was raised by his grandparents, and at the age of 15, he was admitted to a rehab facility for a substance abuse problem. Following his release, he remained sober for 5 years while he worked at the rehab that had saved his life. When he reached his early 20s, Michael relapsed again and spent the next few years in and out of rehabs and ended up dealing drugs himself. He eventually relocated to Florida, where he started working for telemarket companies and making cold calls to wealthy investors, selling gold coins in foreign currency. As a natural-born salesman, he started doing really well and ended up making $200,000 one year. However, the sales were a scam, and the telemarket companies were actually keeping the investors' money. When it fell apart in 2002, Michael, along with several other colleagues, were arrested and charged with grand theft, which is a felony, and was sentenced to 2 years in prison. He was released in 2005, and part of his deal was he had to remain on felony probation for 28 years, which was very strict. His home and car could be searched at any time. He had to have monthly meetings with his PO, and he wasn't allowed to leave West Palm Beach without permission. When he was released from prison, he moved in with his girlfriend, Maria, and the couple ended up getting married in July 2007. He secured a job and then started up his own company, which ended up making him tons of money. Michael also maintained a sobriety this entire time and kept up with his probation agreements and was determined to living a good life and becoming a productive member of society, which he did. And he also developed a very healthy routine in his life and was on the straight and narrow for 7 years until he met Dalia. Now, Dalia would be described as having a normal upbringing. She danced, she played sports, she claimed she had a really happy childhood. She had a lot of friends and went to a Catholic high school and then on to college, and soon after obtaining her real estate license, a career that is to be said as natural in South Florida as sunscreen at the beach. She always had an easy time making friends, so she had no trouble getting along with Michael. Dalia was not only selling real estate, but turned out when she was 19, she started escorting as well. One night, while Michael's current wife was out of town on business, he decided he would call an escort to his home, and when he heard a knock at his door, little did he know that his paid date would become his soon-to-be wife, too. Michael filed for divorce from Maria, and 6 weeks later, it would be final. And get this, 5 days later after the divorce would become final, he proposed to Dalia with a $26,000 engagement diamond ring. He and Dalia would then become married, and Michael says his relationship with Dalia wasn't a fairy tale by any means, but that he had fell for her super fast, and the two lovebirds became inseparable. He went and withdrew nearly $300,000 cash from his security lockbox and bought a new townhome for him and Dalia to live in. And then people would say from all outside appearances, their marriage seemed to be working out. By day, they were exchanging love notes, and at night, they were spent at home, snuggled up, watching reality TV shows like Cheaters and The Real Housewives of New York. Dalia was able to live a very luxurious lifestyle while Michael worked. There were a lot of things the couple wanted to do, like travel and go places, but they weren't able to because of Michael's probation, which caused some tensions. In early 2009, the couple began having several run-ins with the law all of a sudden, which would add to all their grievances. In early March, Michael's probation officer would receive 3 anonymous tip-offs from a concerned neighbor that was supposedly concerned with Michael dealing steroids out of his townhouse. 10 police officers would show up and search the home, but finding absolutely nothing to support the claim. On March 16th, police received another anonymous tip from a woman saying she saw a gray Chevy Tahoe dealing drugs in the parking lot of the Ritz-Carlton in Manalapan, which is 6 miles from the Dippilitos' home. Police were dispatched, and they learned the vehicle was owned by, nonetheless, Michael Dippilito, who was staying there for the weekend with his wife Dalia. He claimed he had nothing to hide and let the police search his car, while again, they didn't find anything. On March 29th, a specialist narcotics team was dispatched to the City Place shopping center in West PB. They had received a tip-off that a large amount of drugs were being held in a Chevy Tahoe SUV parked in the mall's underground garage. Michael had parked his car there while he was shopping with Dalia. When the couple returned to the vehicle and learned what was going on, Michael knew something was going on and became extremely upset, but remained respectful and cooperative. I mean, he knew he had nothing to hide. They brought in our narcotics dog and ended up finding a little crumb of a Class A substance narcotic tucked inside a cigarette pack inside a spare tire, which is a felony in Florida, making it an automatic probation violation. Michael, I guess, just broke down in tears. He was just beside himself, explaining to the officers that he had been sober for 7 years and maybe his ex-wife Maria planted it there since the divorce. Maybe she was upset and wanted to get back at Michael. The leading officer believed him and cut him a break. 4 days later, the police were called again to the couple's house, stating that a neighbor had called in noise complaint saying the couple was apparently up yelling at each other all throughout the night. Officers arrived but then left, saying nothing seemed out of place. It would then be that night that Dalia told Michael she was expecting their first child. So during this entire time, Michael was having suspicions about Dalia because all the encounters with the police just weren't adding up. Dalia was the only person who knew they were at the Ritz-Carlton that weekend. She was the only one who knew they were shopping at the mall that one day, and he was freaked out and doubting their relationship. A few weeks later, Dalia and Michael are coming out of the gym and they find a note on Michael's SUV saying to bring $40,000 to some weird location the following Friday, and that if he didn't bring the money, things would continue to happen to him. They reported it to the police and were so worried they got a guard dog for protection. Michael was determined to get off probation because he knew he couldn't keep putting up with this kind of stuff for the next 20 years, since that's how long he was sentenced for, the 28 years. And it had already been 8 years, so he had 20 left. He hired a lawyer, and the lawyer was able to make a deal with the judge, stating if he was able to pay off the remaining $100,000 of his restitution to the court that he owed, that the judge would release him off probation and close the case. While he was trying to figure out how to pay his restitution, Dalia said she knew another lawyer that would be able to help him get off probation a different way without paying off all his restitution. But for some reason, he needed to sign the title of his home over to Dalia's name. I have no idea how or what the lawyer said for that to make sense to Michael, but it did, and he signed his house over to Dalia, hoping it would help him get off probation somehow. Less than a week later, on August 5th, 2009, is when Dalia would hear the tragic news that her husband had been killed. Looking distraught as any of us would be, she was driven to the police station to help aid the detectives in finding out who did this to Michael. Along the way, they explained all they knew so far was that gunshots were heard and that a black man was seen running away from the scene. Dalia said there had been a lot of black people around the neighborhood, but that nothing stood out, and they asked if anyone would want to hurt Michael. She explained that he was a recovering drug addict and an ex-con and owed some people some money. She said he was bragging recently about getting off probation, and maybe one of his ex-colleagues was mad they didn't have that same leisure as him. A couple minutes later, the detective leaves the room and comes back in with this black man that's in handcuffs and asks Dalia if she recognized this guy in any way. She immediately says, "No, I have no clue who this guy is, don't know him, never seen him before." And then the detective turns to the suspect and he says, "What were you doing seeing Rena out of her house this morning?" And he didn't answer, and then he says, "Get out of here." And then an officer leads the guy out of the room, and then the detective turns and looks at Dalia, and he's staring at her for a minute or two. And then he says, "You're going to jail today for the solicitation of murder. You're under arrest." And so Dalia had been communicating with an ex-boyfriend named Muhammad during her and Michael's entire marriage, telling this guy that her new husband was hurting her physically, emotionally, and all this other stuff. He told her to call the police and report it, which she then got in her this evil scheme she was going to attempt. She met up with her ex the following day and bought him a gift, which ended up being a $38,000 Range Rover that she paid for in cash. And this was going to be what she used to reel in her ex. And this is where the true story actually begins. she asked him if he knew anyone that would help kill her husband, and he said it was too risky at the time. He wasn't up for it. So they laid low for a while, and during that time is when Dalia started setting Michael up in traps, thinking if, well, she couldn't kill him right now, maybe she could just have him sent back to prison by violating his probation. And as we know, her several attempts to get him thrown back in jail didn't end up working. So obviously she was pissed and getting really frustrated. She met back up with Muhammad and told him she needs her husband killed now, and he knew she was serious because, you know, Michael was starting to get suspicious of her, and she knew he was getting suspicious of her, and that's when she had to pull the whole baby, you know, I'm pregnant thing on you. So when she told Muhammad she was serious, they agreed to meet up the following day, which they did. But this time, Muhammad had went to the police to let them know what Dalia was actually planning. He told her that he had a reliable hitman who was actually an undercover cop, and this guy was Officer Witty John, who was selected for the role for his dark skin and dreadlocks, thinking Dalia would be suspicious of him, which is like messed up. But Dalia met up with the hitman, having no clue it was all staged and that she was actually being filmed the entire time. The cops had put like a little dash cam in his car, and while they were talking, she kept looking back at it. Like, it almost looks like she knew it was there, but she still went through with it.
Well, that's up to you.
She offered money, gave details how she wanted her husband to be killed, and even gave the hitman, who was a cop, photos of Michael and their house and their code to the alarm, just everything. They agreed she would leave for the gym at 6 a.m. and leave the door unlocked, and that's when the hitman would enter the residence and finish Michael off. So the morning of the killing, the police decided that they wanted to stage the entire thing. They decided that because Dalia had already given money to the undercover cop, that the case was pretty much already sealed at that point, that filming it wasn't going to hurt their case at all. So Dalia leaves for the gym, and they hurry and show up at Michael's house, and he has no idea what's going on. He thinks it's another probation thing, and they're like, you know what, hi, you're not in trouble, but you have to leave right away because your wife is trying to kill you. And he's like, what? Like, no, what are you talking about? They're like, get dressed and come with us right now. So they take him down to the police station, they show him all the footage, and it was true. She was trying to kill him. And she would, of course, say she had nothing to do with it. She would end up going on trial 3 separate times, and on the 3rd trial, she was sentenced to 16 years. And her defense would say that it was all Michael's fault, and they were actually doing it on purpose to get on reality TV. So that was her defense, but just so crazy. Michael is happy now. He's remarried. He has a beautiful wife and a happy family. And that's that. Dalia is in prison for the next 16 years. She's a mother as well. She ended up being pregnant, but just absolutely a crazy, crazy case. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this story. I hope that you liked these nails. Super simple. Loved this BURANO temperature changing polygel. It was so fun to work with. I loved how these turned out. Anyway, I love you guys so much, and I will see you for my next video in a couple days. Have a great night. Love you guys. Bye.